Hey, what's up? I have something to show y'all. First, let's take a guess. 3, 2, 1. Okay. That's a hint right there. Keyboard, mouse. My laptop's broken right now still, so it's not that. Boom. PC. I have a use for my old parts now. Sorry, reaching over to grab this. I'm gonna heft this thing up onto this desk here, and I'm gonna show you guys from there. Alright. Boom. What we have here is an HP Pavilion A6650w. And if that doesn't tell you how old it is, I don't know what does. I took off the Windows Vista sticker. That also is a hint too. Plus the multiple old drives and stuff. Let's get this thing opened up. So easy. Compared to laptops. This was a nice change from a laptop. Because laptops, it's an absolute pain to open up half of them. Boom. It's a little messy, but there's so many extra cords on this power supply. What we have here, so originally, I'm going to move the extra cords out of the way, like my duct tape cable managing job. So originally, we didn't have this graphics card, and we have an AMD Phenom X4-9550, the first generation of Phenoms, not the Phenom 2. We have a 500 gigabyte 7200 RPM hard drive and 6 gigabytes, wow, so big, of DDR2, which is not ideal. I found this thing in our local e-waste drop-off, so my one of my family members made the mistake of mentioning the e-waste facility and finding 2 laptops there. And I'm like, you should have grabbed them. She didn't. So she mentioned that, and then we were already going somewhere. So they were like, let's go. Okay. There wasn't much. There was like a Samsung monitor, a TV, some like stereo CD player or something. And this beauty. 6 gigs of DDR2 stock, which is amazing for a 15-year-old device. This X4-9550 is a 2.2 gigahertz 95-watt chip, which I thought it had a turbo boost. It really doesn't. It just stays under 2.2 gigahertz if it's not doing much. And if it's doing something, it can only go up to 2.2 gigahertz. Gigahertz. I put one of my ATI Radeon HD5770s. I know, the N64 graphics Tomb Raider looking dealy. Which has 1 gigabyte of GDDR5, which this card apparently performs okay for a 15-year-old card, but it's not ideal because of the VRAM. They can overclock pretty easily, apparently. So it's just the VRAM holding it back nowadays, because nowadays 8 gigabytes of VRAM is like the standard. I put in the graphics card. I put in this Corsair Tx650 power supply, which the same family member who mentioned the e-waste facility gave to me because it was out of the old PC built for one of my other family members some time ago that kind of got dismantled and thrown away. I wanted to upgrade the chip to my Phenom 2 X4-955, but as you can see with the uncleaned thermal paste, that didn't work. I think I accidentally dropped it before putting it in. So, a bunch of the pins are bent and one of them is missing, which typically isn't a problem. And now I got thermal paste in my fingers, oh well. Which typically isn't a problem, but they must have been too bent to be saved or something. So there goes that. First thing, because I thought this was a broken PC. That's why I thought it was an e-waste. Well, it's Windows Vista. That would be why. There are so many newer, better PCs out there. So I plugged this into a SATA to USB adapter to see if it even spin up, because my other hard drive, when I was putting Windows 7 on it for my Sony Vaio laptop, spun up when it was connected to the adapter. So I put this in, nothing. When I turned it on, the fans would spin up to their max speed, but there would be no post, which I figured out was the CPU. So I put this back in. I tried it with the Windows 7 hard drive first, and it worked, it booted, but it was saying it was having problems booting into Windows, which it eventually did, I think. So I took that out and I put this in just to see if it would work out of curiosity. And it worked. So all of this is up. It doesn't have Wi-Fi adapter, but that's fine. I used Ethernet to install the few things it need. It had an Nvidia, right here, Nvidia GeForce 6150 SE integrated GPU on the motherboard, which is kind of new to me, but a very old concept, because most integrated graphics are on the chips on the CPU now. Let's get this thing fired up. I'm gonna leave it open. I don't feel like putting the case back. You know what? Fine, I'll put everything back together, make it look fancy. Be right with you guys in a bit. And alright, we're back. I did you guys the justice of plugging in the mouse and keyboard already, so I wouldn't have to do that on camera. Here's a view of the other side of the PC. So all of it's the original parts except for the graphics card. I just threw that in there. Let's get this hooked up. Boom. Boom. I would like to think I'm a pretty good PC worker now. I even remember to do this. Boom. I tossed a 650 watt power supply in here because it didn't have PCIe cables for the graphics card, and the original OEM power supply was 300 watts. Ooh, look, drum set. It's not great, but I had to tape the tom drums to keep it from echoing in here. This room is like an echo chamber. Boom, Philips TV. This thing is also, I think, as old as the PC, but look at that. 120 hertz, 1080p. Alright, hang on. Is this HDMI plugged into 2 or 1? It's in 1. Give me a second. Alright. That was probably a weird cut. Listen to that. It was so loud when I first fired it up because it wouldn't spin back down at normal speed. So, I was wondering why. And I'm like, I was touching all the fans to make them lose speed. And it turns out it's the blower style fan on the graphics cards that's super loud. This fan right here is the loudest fan in this entire PC. And it's insane. And boom, we have post. It looked really crunchy when I first fired this up because drivers weren't installed. So I installed drivers on Ethernet for the HD5770. And, hello. And this is why I don't do this stuff. It makes me lose track of my thoughts. I installed drivers, and in the middle of it, the whole thing went black and then came back looking crispy as ever. And crispier than ever. English is hard, don't mind me. So, we have... This thing is pretty fast for a hard drive, too. My, Intel Celeron J3060 HP all-in-one is slower than a snail. Like, this thing is a rocket ship compared to that. I hate anything with the word Celeron in it. It's really crazy. Mostly because school Chromebooks have an 4020 at 1.1 gigahertz. And then that thing was so horrible for me. I might have spoke too soon with the fast boot up time, because this is not as fast as it should be. Or as fast as I remember. I'll come back when it boots. See ya. Okay, so this thing's not booting. Or not going into Windows. I'm gonna do one of these. No signal. Huh. I had to say something about it booting fast. I wonder if it's because of the overclock I applied. I did, in fact, overclock the GPU. Through MSI Afterburner, of course. It was minor. It was from like 850 megahertz to like 885. And then the memory clock from like 1200 to like 1278, because that's what it would let me do. I didn't touch the GPU because the graphics card was the bottleneck. When I put it in a PC PC bottleneck calculator with a 37.5% bottleneck. To give you some perspective, the original specs had a 90.4% bottleneck. That's insane. With my upgraded chip, if that worked, and one of those, it would be a 45% bottleneck because of the graphics card. I'm using games as a stand for my Wii sensor bar. Oh, I saw a loading bar, or a loading whatever. I'm just gonna sit here staring at my reflection in the TV. This is the closest you're gonna get to a face reveal for now. There we go. I just named it OpenPC because I am planning on selling this thing. If I'm gonna like stress test it and see what it can do. And if it can really do stuff, then that's perfect. The only problem is in these big TVs, here, let me go ultra wide for a bit. It's gonna be kind of crunchy quality, but like big TVs, there we go, mouse is here. The whole entire screen is going too far off the border. So like, you can see my Google Chrome, my MSI Afterburner and stuff, and everything is just, it wasn't as bad on the other TV in my living room when I was on Ethernet, because we only have Ethernet coming from the router. Our house is too old to have Ethernet spread throughout the entire house. So that TV wasn't this bad, but I don't know why there are the borders. If someone could explain that to me, like in comments or something, that'd be greatly appreciated. I was tempted to toss a will that do anything? That's 125. What about 150? That's just making things bigger. That's not actually moving things around. Display Advanced display settings, maybe. Display 1 Phillips. Straight 60 Hz. Does this have an option for 120? No, it doesn't. I don't know what interlaced is. 1920 by 1080. Display 1 Phillips. TV. This thing is old, but this is a really nice TV. Except it gets, like, if it's on for a while, it gets really hot. So when I was working on this PC in here, between the hot components, which are actually quite cool right now. Hang on. Escape. I don't think that's gonna give me a temperature reading, but the GPU doesn't pop up in Task Manager too. It's weird. I see CPU, I see memory, I see HDD, I see random removable disks that don't technically exist. I think it's just the USB devices though. But like, it was getting so hot in this room when I was working on this PC. It was kind of scary. I don't know if MSI Afterburner takes internet or to work or not. Holy brake squeak. Yeah, it does apparently. And apparently it reset my overclock. Apply it Windows Startup. Yeah, 885 and 1276 from 850 and 1200. I even set a slightly higher fan curve. But yeah, 120 something degrees. It's not horrible in temperature, but it could be better. RAM usage, there's 6 gigabytes, so it's fine. But it's the speed of the RAM that I'm worried about, because it's 800 megahertz when you think of DDR4 and you can get a 3200 megahertz kit, or DDR5 where you can get up to like 7200 or 8000 or something. It's insane. I don't have much on here, but I figured out when this thing had Windows 7, it had the old users everything on it still, so they must have had it on Vista and then upgraded to 7. So I went into Google Chrome without an internet, and I saw the person's email link to it, and I'm like, oh god, it's someone I know. So I wiped the drive when I went to install Windows 10. I was tempted to buy a Wi-Fi card, but I figured if I'm selling it and someone's that desperate, they could buy it themselves. Besides, it probably will reduce profit margins for me. I'm gonna shout out at Two Dudes in the Sky too again, because me and him are thinking of coming up with a business. We've got some ideas laid out, but we still haven't finalized everything. Plus, money is needed. So, I hope you enjoyed this little tour and 20-minute rant about a 15-year-old desktop PC. But if I can get this to run well and get someone to buy it just for their web browser, YouTube watching, or yeah, you didn't hear anything. But hey, if this suits someone, then perfect for me. You could see I was trying to see if I could overclock the CPU, but I'm like, there's no point because the GPU is bottlenecking the CPU. Obviously the first thing I did was download Chrome. I even got the GPU drivers. I can't find motherboard drivers. The motherboard's too old. And it's an Nvidia motherboard chipset, so it's just really weird. Thank you for watching. If you watched this far, people are like 30% of you guys are watching up to like a minute of a 10-minute long video, so I don't know if anyone will even hear this by the end of the video. So like, comment, subscribe if you really like old tech and tech stuff in general. Thank you for dealing with rants like this. I got very distracted. I should have just went straight to the point and took you guys on a tour of this beautiful old tower desktop. Pardon the mess. I was working on it and didn't feel like cleaning it up either, so. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.